today we're sitting down across the desktop from Larry Grawey with Dream Vacations, but he's got a much more exciting life history and story than just Dream Vacations. But I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you a very general question.
Sure.
Who is Larry Grawey?
Wow, that's a great question. It depends on the day of the week. No, really.
And that's true. It's okay to,
No, I mean.
You wear a lot of hats.
I do wear a lot of hats, but underlying all of that, I've been a pastor for 30 years.
Yep.
And have done a lot of things to support my ministry habit over those 30 years.
Ministry habit.
And
Let's get the shakes.
I have, yeah, really. I do. I subscribe to, over the years as I've matured and as I've grown and as I've kind of watched the church grow, God's kind of led us to a different path where I don't think, and this isn't everybody's story, but taking a salary from the church isn't where I want to be. I want the church to be, we felt like God asked us to pastor a community, not a church.
Uh-huh.
And so everything that we do is about the community. Even owning a travel agency is for our future, but it takes the pressure off of having to look at everybody that comes into our church as a revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I can look at everybody that comes into a church as a person, not somebody that needs to tithe so we can pay for our building and our bills and everything else.
Right.
So if we can take that stress off of that church, and look, I have no problem with bigger churches, and it's part of the structure. But for us, the people that we're reaching, most of them barely have incomes, or they have a different story. So we wanted to take that pressure off. And so, quite honestly, and I didn't, wasn't sure where I'd go with it, but owning our own business actually has increased our influence in the community, even as a pastor.
So you're kind of taking more of that tent making,
absolutely,
doctrine. Really, I mean, for the Book of Acts is more of a tent making thing with Paul.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
So and when you ask about who I am, I mean, ministry and my following God, and really ministry is life. But just following God and wherever He leads me, no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm helping people plan a vacation, whether I'm emceeing events for the city, if I'm being a chaplain for the police department, or running a networking group, everything's wove into that because every conversation comes back around to who we are as individuals as we get to know each other.
Yeah. You serve on the board at KBA as well, Kennesaw Business Association.
I serve on too many boards.
You serve on a lot of boards.
I'm on 3 right now.
Yeah,
so.
I'm going to give you a word. You need to commit this to memory.
No.
Okay.
There's intention to each one.
It's hard for you to say no. I know because your heart is to serve.
Yeah.
Your heart is to help people that need help.
Yeah.
And when they ask you, your assumption is, and rightfully so, they think I can serve here.
Well, there's intention. Actually, there's intention to each of the 3 boards that I'm on. And I've thought about this because I'm looking at things right now for next year that I'm going to cut out.
Okay.
Because I'm constantly looking at what I need to cut. And the boards aren't on there. I've got 1 more year at least on the Kennesaw Business Association board. In all transparency, I've never had a board meeting because it's always on Thursday morning during my networking meeting.
Uh-huh.
But the seat that I fill on that board with the networking seat has been vital for our business and to help us grow.
Yeah.
And it's been something that's been really important for us to connect to the community. So that one, no problem. I serve on the Kennesaw Parks Foundation, which if you know anything about me or anything we do, our church was founded, originally started in one of the Kennesaw parks.
Yeah.
Literally, we did an Easter egg hunt on Easter Sunday morning and figured if anybody shows up to this, they don't go to church anywhere. And so we started in the parks. The first event that we served at was with the city, the movie nights at Swift Cantrell Park. So being invited onto the Parks Foundation is a special place in my heart. It's part of what we do in the community. Mm-hmm. And then foster care. I have a master's in child protection, juvenile justice. Even people in my church have kids that are in the foster care system. Actually, I helped adopt that family that has the 3 kids. And so I serve on Mountaintop Boys Home. That's more of a passion with helping the kids that are there and being a part of that. It's kind of an ironic story because I was fired by that same board years ago, and that's a long story I won't get into. And so was the executive director that were all back there.
Yeah.
But
That's what brought you to Georgia, wasn't it, originally?
no, actually, originally what brought us to Georgia is God told us to plant a church in Kennesaw. That's when we moved to Georgia. We moved here in 2005, but didn't start our church until 2011. We incorporated, so we didn't launch until 2012.
Yeah.
But the door that God opened while we helped somebody else with a church that was struggling, the door that God opened was working at Mountaintop Boys Home in the business office. And then the founding of Faithbridge Foster Care. And then from there, when we left foster care, and that's a whole different conversation about burnout, about starting things and learning that. We took a year off, just sat in a church, I'd say we didn't lead anything, but anywhere we sit, we end up leading something. But we took a year off before we ever started our church. So we needed that time of healing. But even that part of the story, foster care was super important to get me out of my basically pharisaical mindset. And I know this is a business podcast, but we're doing a little bit of church stuff where I think sometimes in the churches we get so caught up in basically the same mindset of the Pharisees. If you ever study scripture that way, where we have all the rules, we know everything. It's all about building our little kingdoms, and we miss caring about people.
I think that's the thing that if I would want anybody to know about, Larry and Jennifer Grawey, is that you go to the least of these.
Yeah.
Would that be accurate?
Yeah, to a degree.
You talked about starting a Easter egg hunt on Sunday morning, knowing that the people that would come there are unchurched.
Yeah.
They might be a believer, but they don't feel comfortable inside the doors of a church, or they know there's a drawing on their heart, by the Lord, but they don't know where to go, and so they come to that thing because it's something good to do on Sunday, Easter Sunday.
Yep.
Which to me is saying we're going to go to, the people that the church is not touching.
Yeah.
So tell me quickly about Kennesaw Family Life Church, which meets right here in Desktop.
It does. So we started back in 2012. That whole idea of Easter, we had 60 people show up to the park that day anyway, and it was only in one neighborhood. The city just said, "Hey, your neighborhood, you can only do that neighborhood." So we just went out to 100 homes, had 60 people show up.
Nice.
And that kind of launched our church. And then we went through and thought we would look like every other church. Back at that time, there was church plants going everywhere. And it seemed like every school had a church plant.
Yeah.
And we kind of fell into, we had the lights, we had all that stuff. But as I got involved through the mayor asked me to serve on the Kennesaw Teen Center board. And so when we started there, I met Chief Westenberger, and Chief asked me to be a chaplain and really showed me where Kennesaw really was. Mm-hmm. And as we drilled into loving on Kennesaw, our vision for the church and how we approached it changed.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton of churches in the area, and people would even say, why do we need another church? Well, for our denomination, we're the only church here, but that didn't really matter. It was more, there's a whole segment of people. Yes, the least of these is part of that, our food pantry. Mm-hmm. We touch about 250, 300 people every month with our food pantry. Some of those are in extended stays. That comes through being a chaplain. Some people have come on Sunday morning, some haven't, but we have that touch point.
Sure.
I hugged a lady that was at a extended stay hotel 9 years ago when we were doing this, who came back through and just said, "You remember me," and just beautiful. But outside of that, it's not even just the least of these that come to our church. It's those that have been hurt and broken in life and in church.
Sure.
That won't step foot in another church because of the baggage.
In what we'd call a traditional church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that baggage that's there that hurt that's there, whether intentional or unintentional,
Yeah.
there's baggage there.
It hurts real. Yeah. Regardless
Yeah.
of motives.
And we've never invited anybody since that beginning. I'd say in the last 5 years, I've not invited a single person, but everybody that's come has come out of relationship and are usually there for a season.
Yeah.
They're not always there, but they're there for a season.
Yeah.
And we're okay with that. We're okay with what we are doing with where we're at.
Right.
I have more peace in ministry now than I have any other time.
I would think that, and now we'll kind of transition into into the travel business, Dream Vacations. But with both you and Jennifer, who runs our space here at Desktop, she's our space manager and brilliant at what she does. But she and I have even talked about this, that our goal here is to love on people. We give them a place to work.
Yeah.
At this level, we give them a place to work. But at the heart level, it gives us an opportunity to love on them.
Yeah.
That we can actually show them compassion and we can love them and we can serve them, which obviously is what God has called us to do, is love God and love people.
Absolutely.
And so when you decided, okay, we're gonna create a tent making ministry, and and I say that it's a reference back to Acts, the book of Acts, where Paul did not want to be a burden to the churches he was planting, and so he basically was a tent maker. That was his trade. Back then, he was a builder. He built houses.
Yeah.
Basically, like we call it today.
Yeah.
He was building tents for people to live in, and so how did Dream Vacations become the business opportunity for you guys?
That's a great question. We had kicked around the idea. We love travel, and it goes back to part of our philosophy as parents. When our kids were younger, we never had a ton of money, but we would save up every year and take our kids on a trip. We chose, let's give them experiences over buying things.
Sure.
Or maybe updating our house.
Yeah.
Or doing some of those things that a lot of us put a lot of priority on.
Yeah.
We said we wanted to give our kids opportunities to see new cultures, to go places.
Right.
So we had this passion for travel. Plus, as a pastor, when we would go on, we'd like to cruise. So we go on a cruise ship, and we would never get the internet package. Back then, the internet packages weren't really, even when we started cruising, it wasn't even really a thing. And the phone didn't work. And when we stepped on the ship, we weren't pastors.
Everything turned off.
Yeah.
Except for
and
the
so
family.
our kids are like, look, we have our family.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's not nobody. We're not walking through the store and my kids get annoyed because everywhere I go, I know somebody. So they're not walking to the store and somebody knowing who we are or anything like that. It's just, we're here. Just that unplug. And I used to tell the church, look, if the world blows up while we're on a cruise, we'll find out when we get back. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, you'll have several days of no worry.
Yeah.
Until you find out, right?
Yeah. And so we love that. And we always love taking people with us. That was always a big deal. Like, hey, come, people would ask us, well, how do we do this? And so we just started kicking that idea around. And being church planners and all of these things, I'd love to say we have a great retirement plan, a great retirement packed up. And they're like, no. So I looked back a few years ago and said, okay, let's look at our future. We need to do a business that will help support us for what we're doing church-wise. But let's look at our future. What could we build that we could enjoy doing no matter how long we wanted to?
Yeah.
And travel. Sit there. I could say, I used to say I'm terrible at sales. Here's the thing. I've done some sales jobs over the years. If I don't believe in what I'm selling, or if I really don't care about what I'm selling, I don't care. I'm not the sales guy that could sell you a rock, and say, hey, here, go scuba diving. Here's some rocks. I'm not going to be that sales guy. So travel was something I could get behind because I'm helping people take great experiences. I'm not really selling anything. I'm just helping them put that trip together that they're going to take and take the stress out of that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not selling something that I feel like I have to really sell them. They're coming to me saying, hey, can you help? And that was an easy sell for me. Mm-hmm. like, okay, I can sign on. We signed on with a great organization. Dream Vacations is a franchise. There's 2,500 plus across the country, but it's they give us a 30% or a 20% discount for being community leaders. They do it for first responders and teachers.
Yeah.
But they saw what we did in the community and said, hey, we'll give you this discount. They do 30% for veterans. They're very family focused.
And you're able to pass that on to your clients, basically.
Yeah. So it was great for us, and it helps us to grow. We've got a few associates now. It's something that we're building for the future. Even from a church perspective, I would love in 5 to 7 years not to be the tip of the spear. I would like to be the one pushing it. I would love to be the one pouring into pastors and leaders and helping them move that forward, even with our own church. Mm-hmm. We don't ever have any intention on being anywhere else, but having other people that are making those decisions, that are driving that bus, and we're just there to help kind of keep it on the rails.
How long have you had the franchise?
We're in our 4th year, so our 3 full years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've had some success.
A little bit, yeah. We've done okay with it. We're still growing. We're still in that phase of really getting the snowball going. Sure. But yeah, we've done pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, nationally, you guys are seeing some traction. Amongst the other franchise. There's 2,500 of them, you said, across the country.
We're in the top. We're sitting at right now, we're in the top 23%.
Yeah.
Of the 2,500 franchises.
In 3 years.
In 3 years, yeah. Yeah, so that's
not bad, Larry.
That's not, and actually, I haven't even put all the numbers in for this month. We'll actually be in the top, probably 20%.
Yeah.
Because I haven't put all the numbers in for this.
Oh, and that's a praise God moment.
It is. Yeah, God has blessed us. Won Best of Cobb this year, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome when we got the news that top travel agency in Cobb County.
Yeah.
And that's
we were really surprised. Look, that was last year we got nominated, and there was another Dream Vacations, and so it was kind of muddled. And so this year they really separated it out, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. And we were super honored with that. Yeah. So.
It must feel good to know that God is blessing your efforts.
Absolutely.
That this is that this is confirmation that what we thought he was calling us to do, because sometimes, me personally, I think, oh, God's in this, and he's not. It's all Dave. Yeah. And you've watched me through that for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the heck is he doing? And then later, why didn't you tell me? I was being an idiot. But when you really feel the pull of God to do something and you do it and he blesses it, again, it's confirmation, of his love and his care, in everything that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And I think part of it is what's really made it successful is where it opens up doors for us. What it's done is it's changed my mindset to where, and I've told other pastors this because we've had these conversations, when my focus shifted off of the church all the time, it actually helped me be a better pastor. It helped me connect with people better.
How?
As pastors, especially if you're driving, especially in a small church or in any church, when you get to large churches, your senior pastor is basically a CEO of a corporation. Mm-hmm. And that takes a certain person to do. That wasn't going to be me. I knew a long time ago that wasn't for me. But if you're sitting there and you're having to balance budgets, find rent, take care of buildings, all of those things can become consuming. And even though you have a board, it still comes back to you. Mm-hmm. And then the board puts pressure on you. Well, we've got to get people in the door. Well, then I've got to preach better sermons. And we start to approach churches like we do businesses. So we put up billboards and we tell them why we have the best children's ministry and why we have, and really, quite frankly, the way I see it, we're only advertising to other Christians. Mm-hmm. where by being a business owner, taking the pressure off of all those things, I can just meet people and I can lead our people to interact in that same way. And then my focus becomes, what are we learning? What are we preaching through? The pastoral care side of things. Yeah, that can stretch us, but it's a family business and a family ministry. So the two are interwoven. Are there seasons where you're just slammed and you're going, what in the world? I have nothing left. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's when you should take a cruise.
Yeah, well, that is true. But there are those seasons, and God always gives you strength for those seasons. But it just changed the way I approached people. Really is the bottom line. I'm not.
Do you think it gave you more perspective on what they go through on a day-to-day basis? Because you're also going through some of that on a day-to-day basis with your business?
I think yes and no. Actually, I think the stress of pastoring is not that different than being a business owner. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're managing, especially when you're a mid-sized church and you've got, a $500,000 budget or $1 million budget, and you're trying to pay staff and you're trying to, manage those things while you're leading them, being that spiritual leader. I think in some ways that stress can be higher than your business owner.
Okay.
Depending on who it is and depending on how you do it. It was more taking a different role in the sense of, yes, I'm seeing people where they're at, but my conversations with them change because they're not looking at me as the pastor. They're looking at me as a business owner and more as somebody that's
more of a peer.
Yeah. One of the most frustrating things, I love North Cabrera, you're one of my greatest partners. So if any of you guys are listening, I love you. But I would come in and they're like, oh, a professional's here, you can pray.
A professional prayer because
you're a pastor.
Title pastor.
Yeah. And so our church knows, man, don't ask me to pray over stuff. Like for, come in and pray over a meal or something like that. I'll do it. The city asks me every Christmas, I pray over the city's Christmas party staff me. I'm there at that. I've done that for probably 10 years now. Okay, that's cool. But
you're a part of that family.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
But to come in and say, oh, this is the person that should pray over this. No, I'm just a believer that happens to fill the role of pastor. But it's no different than Dave Griffith, the serial entrepreneur, real estate, whatever other hat you have on this week, can pray over that meal or that meeting or that whatever just as well as I can, maybe better. And so to sit and have a one-to-one with somebody that's a business owner and to have that and unpack each other's stories, it takes a barrier away. They're not as concerned about their language. They're not concerned about guarding themselves because
some
they
false
feel
reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is I'm going to say shame on the church for this because and we did this through really well through the 80s and 90s. We put on a facade that we're perfect. And in order to you used to hear people, you don't hear it as much now, but you used to hear, well, when I get things cleaned up, I'll come to church. Nobody should have to clean up anything. The church should be the place that's the most open.
Right.
But we feel that. And some of it's our own conviction, which is fine. Yes, I need to get this stuff out of my life. But to have a conversation with a pastor and to be able to have a genuine conversation with a pastor or anyone, to not feel like you have to hide who you are because you're going to be judged by who you are.
Yeah.
And so when it strips some of that away, and when they can sit down and they're like, oh, you pastor as well. Oh, that's really cool. Talk to me about that. Tell me your story.
I like that. You pastor as well. Yeah. Instead of you're a pastor, and you do this thing on the side.
Yeah.
And so one way or the other, there's a lack of credibility on one side or the other versus this is a friend of mine. He's a business owner. Oh, and you're a pastor? That's awesome. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
And you're able to, again, to share your heart and the heart of Christ, my job on earth is to love people. I do that as a pastor, but I also do it in booking people's vacations. Yeah, and serving them in that way.
Yeah.
You recently got back from a European river cruise.
I did.
Yeah. How did that germinate? And and of course you fulfilled it, and people had a great time. Tell us about that story.
So one of the ways that you can make money in a travel agency is groups, and we wanted to take groups on trips. So about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, we put together a group. Just knew that we wanted to do that, wanted to do this river cruise, and we put it together. And then about 2 months later, Burke Scott, who owns Smyrna Vines Lifestyle Magazine, approached me. He's in my BNI on Thursday mornings, and said, "Hey, I want to do a travel club. Would you be interested in helping me with this?" Mm-hmm. And he had another travel agent that was working on it, but when he kind of partnered with them, he didn't know that they only did the Caribbean. And his magazine goes to affluent homes in the Smyrna Vinings area, and the Caribbean's a weekend getaway for them. It's not what they were looking for. They were looking for trips to Europe, Africa, Antarctica. And so he asked, can I help? And I said, absolutely. And we just naturally said, let this be our first kind of inaugural kickoff for the Smyrna Vines Lifestyle Travel Club. So we had just a couple families that went with us to, we did a river cruise. Few of us, not everybody on the trip, flew into Prague for 3 days, hung out in Prague, which was really cool. There was only 24 of the 140 pastors, only 24 of us were in Prague. And none of us, except for Burke and Heather and Jennifer and I, knew each other. And by the end of those 3 days, we ended up spending almost the entire cruise with that group and built relationships. Actually, one of them may become an associate of ours with our travel agency here in the next few months.
Out there recruiting.
So they asked me. But with that, we just built relationships. And one of the couples got engaged on the trip out in California, a young couple that was on there. We've just built really cool relationships. But what we're doing is, with Smyrna Vines Lifestyle, we're going to be hosting for them 1 to 2 trips a year. That we'll lead. We'll go on there. We'll be on the trip with them and going. And actually, one of the guys that was on the trip said, I wouldn't be on this trip if you guys weren't going. He goes, I wanted somebody with me on this trip. So we're creating this travel club around relationship and traveling together.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool opportunity. So we're meeting next week, actually, to plan the next one. Mm-hmm. We've got a group going to Alaska next year, just taking people on those trips. One, it's a great way for us from a business standpoint. We make great commissions off of that.
Yeah.
But from a personal standpoint, getting people to travel together is such a great way. They build relationships. And it doesn't mean that we're doing everything together. Man, during the day, we all scattered like roaches to do everything we wanted to do, but come back together. We shared stories around dinner and everything of what we did throughout that day. And it was kind of cool to kind of spend the evenings together, kind of unpacking all that, and the next day go out and do it again.
Scattering like roaches is a great metaphor. We need to work on that one. Yeah. But, yeah. Question. We can take this back beyond, but let's focus first on dream vacations.
Sure.
What do you think has been your greatest success? You started this 3 years ago. You're now in your 4th year. What did you do right? If you're trying to give somebody who's starting a business, even if they're buying a franchise, what did you do right?
I would say networking.
Okay.
Just getting out in front of people.
And networking is a buzzword.
It is.
What is, in your mind, what is networking?
I'm going to relate it to ministry terms. Ministry of presence, showing up. Mm-hmm. Being intentional about picking 1 or 2 people at any meeting that you're at and asking, hey, can we get coffee? Can we have a Zoom meeting? Can we, whatever? and getting to know people.
What do you think? Okay, I think you just answered it with that statement, but what is the purpose of sitting down with someone? What is that purpose? In your mind, what is the purpose?
It's kind of twofold. I want to walk away from every relationship that I have saying that's my friend across the table, but here's the thing that it does for business. People will use you in business, not because they think you're the best at what you do, but because they trust you and they want to work with you.
What fosters that trust, in your opinion?
The building of relationship, that consistency. I have 3 networking groups that I rarely ever miss. Now, BNI, a lot of people like to call it a cult. Yes, it has its whole structure. It's a paid, closed networking group.
They make you wear an ankle monitor, right?
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
If you don't come,
show
then
up,
they come after you?
Yeah, they've got their whole parameters, but that's fine. We've done well with that. That was God's blessing because it's expensive to get into BNI, and somebody offered to pay our first year because they thought we needed to be in there.
Yeah.
But with the Marietta Business Association, the Kennesaw Business Association, look, there is East Cobb, there's West Cobb, there's Ackworth. I looked around and said, okay, people know me as a pastor in Kennesaw and have for a long time. I've been in the Kennesaw Business Association. Mm-hmm. I needed to wear a different hat with them. The board allowed me to do that, and leading the networking group allowed me to do that. But I focused on Kennesaw, and the Marietta Business Association has what I think is probably the best networking group in Cobb County.
It's on Thursdays, right?
Thursday afternoons.
Yeah,
Thursdays are long. This is Thursday today.
Long day, yeah.
And I start out with BNI and I end with Networking Opportunity Weekly. And I have gotten more business out of those 3 areas than anything else. And it took about a year to a year and a half for it to start to build to now I get referrals for business, if not daily, several times a week from those 3 things. We get almost nothing from social media or from just cold calls.
Yeah.
Everything is referral. 100%. Everything is from referrals. And our success, could we do more if we did more with social media and all those things? Yes, but here's the thing with that for us that we found. I spend more time with a lead from social media than I do anyone else. They always want the lowest price. They're always shopping everyone else. Yeah. So they're not shopping for the value of what I can bring. They're shopping for the lowest price. So I spend more time, don't land maybe only 20% of them, and waste a lot more. So I don't put a whole lot into the social media side of it.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's coming to me and I have relationship, they're not asking me, are you giving me, yes, they want the best price, and I'm going to give them the best price I can, but they're coming to me for the value of what I bring.
You've been referred.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, conversely, in starting this business, what was the biggest mistake you made?
Biggest mistake? Gosh, man, there's been quite a few. And I wish I'd have thought about that one before I came in here. I had a mistake last week. It cost me $500, or as Bert calls me, the idiot tax. But
we all pay the idiot tax, and it gives us gray hair.
Yeah,
that was wisdom.
It was my own mistake. If there is anything that I would say is probably my biggest mistake or my biggest weakness is, I'm not great with details. Like the small things. I do them and I can do them, but getting those over to Jennifer or others, our daughters just come on, I'm going to be handing some of those things over to her to make sure that our clients have the best care that they can have. I'm not as good at that side of it as I am bringing business in, and I can research trips and all that, but it's the little things. It's the sending out thank yous. It's the gifts that we want to give. All of that stuff.
Reminders.
That's the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
And I've missed a few of those things. I've dropped some balls on that. And those have probably been my biggest shortcomings. And then overscheduling myself, wearing too many hats, not saying no on some things, or when you're starting a business and you're not making money yet, you do a lot of other things on the side
Sure.
that help you do that. And it's learning to, like I said, I'm looking at next year. I cut stuff this year. I'm looking at next year going, okay, what are we going to cut for 2027 to be able to do all that we want to do and all that we're being led to. We doubled our goal from last year to this year, but we're sitting in, it's May now, we're 2/3 of what we sold last year already. And we were we're further than that because I haven't put about $40,000 in. So we're almost to what we sold last year in May already. And we're looking to, our goal was to double.
Which is kind of the way when you start a business, you're thinking, okay, we have these metrics we need to hit. We have these milestones we need to hit. And when you hit those, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But then isn't it our tendency as business people too to think, well, maybe I set the bar too low. I got to go way up here.
Yeah.
Versus just take the win and keep doing what you're doing systematically and let it grow organically. Do you struggle with that at all?
Yes and no. I think I'm better at the organic side than most. I'm not a huge goal setter. I doubled the goal for one reason. We added associates. And I knew we could have done more than what we were doing.
Had you had more people?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did raise the goal, but also that goal has another purpose. With our franchise agreement, what we pay on a monthly basis as a franchise fee, which is really low, by the way. When we hit that next goal, we drop in what we pay for the next year.
The more you sell, the less you have to pay to them. They're still making more money, but it's a lower percentage.
Yeah, it can go down to as low as $30 a month.
Yeah.
And so we pay very little as far as franchise fees. And they intentionally set that up. They realize, look, as part of the 2,500, it's just like real estate. Anybody can go get a license to do this stuff, and some do it just on weekends.
I think everybody has.
I
think everybody's gotten a real estate license.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But anybody can go become a travel agent.
Sure.
But and some do it just to pay for their own travel, and they don't. They're not registered. So you can knock about 1/3 of the franchises out just for people that are doing it as a hobby.
Yeah.
A hobby job or a retirement job. But for those of us that are really trying to grow that business, we have that incentive to get there. Part of that, because I look at this long term, I look at this as residual income, 15 years from now. So I have to build a base with associates and grow that. And it works very much like the insurance industry because we are advisors. We can sell anything, but we're not actually even taking the money. Really, we're just a pass through. Yeah. We're a servicer.
You're a broker. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of nice from that perspective. But anyway, I don't know if that answered the question, but
well, it's a little bit like, in the interview when they say, what is your biggest weakness? And you say, I'm a workaholic, but some people are workaholics. Some people don't know how to say no. And I think the good interviewer goes, okay, I don't want a workaholic working here.
Yeah.
I'm in the enviable position of having been able to watch this metamorphosis take place, which was always based around a pillar of service.
Yeah.
And when you guys said you were going to do this, I thought, yeah, that fits them.
Cool.
It fits with what I think God has called you to do and with your personalities as well, because you're so servant-minded. Would you say that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is the key to success in pretty much any business a heart of service?
That's a great question. I think for anybody that's long-term, that wants to build something that has a strong foundation, I'd say yes. But we all know there's different approaches to business. But anybody that wants to build something, we talk about legacy. People love to talk about their legacy. Somebody that wants to build something that's worth standing on, service is at the heart of it. If you're just building it to build a bank account and retire, that's a different conversation, I think.
You think that's pretty evident to people? He just wants my money?
It can be.
Or he wants to serve me?
Yeah, it can be. And some people can do both really well.
Yeah.
But those people that I respect most in business are servants. They're people that care for the people that work for them and care for the people that are around them.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Sure.
What would your friends, if I say, who is Larry Grawey, what would they say?
A mess? I know. That's an interesting question. I'd say probably a loyal friend. Somebody that'll be there if we call.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be probably the nicest things they would say. I think about that. I remember I'm going to bring this back to business a little bit. Years ago when we were starting in faith-based foster care, the DISC test. People have taken DISC test a ton. But I thought the best thing, or it was Myers-Briggs actually, best thing we ever did as a leadership team is had our spouses take them as if they were us.
Nice.
Because then it shows you how you're perceived,
right?
Not how you perceive yourself. Mm-hmm. Which you put the two together and you get a really cool combination. Because you see your strengths and weaknesses in a whole different light. And I think my friends, when I look at it, I would say they probably see somebody that's loyal, somebody that cares for them, and somebody that's probably a little absent-minded at times and doesn't know when to shut up. Mm-hmm. I think that'd probably all fit.
What did you come up? What was your disc?
Gosh, that was so many years ago. I don't remember. I remember this though. I thought it was kind of funny because there was a guy, we hired this new guy that was a VP at FaithBridge, didn't know who he was, came out of the corporate world. He comes in, I walk into his office and I put out my hand to shake his hand. And he goes, "Oh, well, according to your disc, you're not somebody that would shake hands." I'm like, "Oh,
well that's wrong."
I guess, I'll shake your hand. Matter of fact, I'll even give you a hug if you want it. So I don't remember what it was. I really don't. It's one of those things that I think there's value in, but I also think it can be a prison.
That's interesting. Yeah. A prison, because once you get the disc, you think this is how I have to act, or I'm supposed to act. So therefore, that's how I will act.
Yeah. And same thing with gifts test in ministry.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is the only thing I can do because this is what I'm gifted at.
Yeah.
No, it's really not. But if you look at it the right way, it should show you where you're weak and where you're stronger. And yes, you can lean into your strengths, but you can also increase your weaknesses.
Right.
Yeah. And help them to strengthen them. So, yeah.
Larry, thank you for sitting down across the desktop with me today. I think our listeners are going to find this very, very interesting and encouraging. So I appreciate your friendship.
Man, I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.